Um, One of the things bad about global warming is the frost line keeps moving north each year. Yeah, getting a little bit warmer. One of the bad, as I said, bad things about that, diseases that are not seen in the United States seem to be coming back. Yellow fever was eradicated basically back in the 1920s, and there's a yellow fever vaccine for it, and it's good for life. You don't have to get a booster. You get it when you're young. Get you when you're old. Get it now. It protects you, and it seems to be working very efficiently. Of course, you got those 25% of Americans who don't want to get COVID-19 vaccine. So why would they get the yellow fever vaccine? Hey, it's like that thing. Now the other one problem is malaria. Um, Somebody once asked a question why there are drugs to fight malaria, but they're not efficient. Uh, you may need two, you may need three vaccine shots, but while they maybe protect you, say 60% of the time, within a year it goes down to 20%. So you need a second booster and maybe a third booster. And this is the one that can really do damage to you. In 2021, they estimated almost 700,000 people died in Africa and across Asia. Um, Most of these are children. Um, yeah. In And the problem with COVID-19 and malaria, um, well, billions of dollars was put into COVID-19, um, but Bill Gates has put, as a somebody says, millions of dollars into research on malaria and directly in the countries that thing. He puts money into these countries, and they set up a research lab with the people and all the other stuff doing research in the countries that this stuff has. Now, there is the old saying about having mosquito nets, which is nice, but which is, they also use mosquito nets. But you need to find a vaccine that will, you know, if you're losing 700,000 people, mainly children in Africa, will get bitten. Because malaria has multi, can have a one bug in, say, one part of the Africa, mosquito, is different than the mosquito in another part of Africa, which spreads malaria. So I think there's 6 different types of uh, mosquitoes that will carry malaria, and trying to decode them is a problem. So you're looking for a vaccine. Of course, you do try to eradicate the mosquito. And of course, one way is DDT. So banned in the United States, but in other African countries, they they go look for it. Oh, you know. The other one they're doing for protecting the countries, they're using CO2 generators. You know, anything. And the other one, of course, is finding a vaccine that will work on everybody against all the types of malaria out there. And that's a problem. Okay, let's go look back at the United States. Is it going to come here? Yes. How fast is it going to come here? Who knows? It's like the West Nile virus. Um, what happens when it does get here in numbers? Oh, um, it may make southern United States uninhabitable. With increased rains, it looks like happening in south east United States. those are the conditions malaria love to be in. Um, you may go back to spraying with DDT. You may everybody may be carrying a little anti-mosquito repellent on them. You might find yourself living under mosquito screens. Yes, and you may have to do is make sure that, well, I guess CO2 generators will be very popular. I remember my sister having one, and she literally cleaned out the neighborhood. She said she got a pile of mosquitoes, dead mosquitoes. But then there's, yeah, pretty soon she wasn't getting any female mosquitoes. They stopped, if you can kill them, you can kill them. That's one way. Oh, gene modified mosquitoes was one way, but that's expensive. Yeah. Um, so will you spray? Yeah. Well, each well, it's wet now. I would expect the city or the county mosquito control vehicle will be coming through sometime next month if it continues to rain a lot. Just to spray. My neighbor works for a pest control um, uh, company, and he has uh, small jars of capsules which he drops in the um, sewer lines. Well, not the sewer line, but the manhole. Ones that the grits in the streets and that. And he goes up and down the neighborhood and drops one of these things every time after it rains. And what it does, it releases a toxin that kills the mosquitoes. And maybe that's why I didn't see very many mosquitoes last year. Um, there's another problem they're finding out. You know how they're doing wastewater testing for COVID-19 to see how prevalent it is in society? They have come across that the wastewater treatment plants have a problem with disinfectant. Um, your hand sanitizer and baby rubs and that. Um, they're killing the bacteria that's the good bacteria in the filtrations wastewater plants is being killed by your hand sanitizers, your spray on your counter, disinfectants, your water, your Lester Lysol. It gets into the waste of the wastewater system and it's killing the good bugs digesting all the poop that we make that goes into the wastewater thing, which is awful, but because they believe and they're seeing it something is a lot of the bacteria that should have been killed by our disinfectant, counter sprays, what have you, have changed. I mean, really, um, that should have died aren't dying. They're adapting to the they're adapting to the disinfectant. Hmm. Kind of like diseases adapting. The common cold adapts. The flu adapts. The cold that I get when I go outside and it's cold, my sniffle and that, it's adapting. And I take the this is going to cure my cold. Well, not going to cure my cold. Why you need a new flu shot every year? Because the flu's adapting. COVID-19 seems to be adapting new variants out. And this newer variant is worse than the old variant. It's like, well, maybe it's those 25% of Americans who don't want to get vaccinated, or the ones that don't want to wear masks because it's they have rights. Well, maybe we can get to that 1 million dead bodies in this country. So what we have right now, 970,000 dead. Maybe we can do another 30,000. We get to a million. But again, they're looking at what's going to happen when malaria comes to this country. And it's very likely will. It was going to cross our borders. You know, you can find cholera and typhoid in Mexico City. Yeah, haven't seen a cholera epidemic come out yet. Not yet. Typhoid? Nope. Of course, watch where you eat because remember, Typhoid married was a um, she loved working in kitchens. And people are known not to wash their hands properly or wear hair nets and gloves and come to work sick. And I have a friend of mine who gets sick all the time. He can walk into a Greasy Spoon or a fast food place, and if somebody is sick in there, he is going to pick it up. He went to Hawaii for a vacation. Second day, he's going to have a week in Hawaii. The second day, he winds up in the hospital because he got bad food for somebody who didn't properly handle the food. He says, "Oh, yeah, let me go on vacation." He goes to Europe. He gets sick. I said, "Why do you go to Greasy Spoons? Because it's good local food. But you can't eat the local food. Don't you know? You have the old British term, boil it or burn it. You boil the water for tea. You don't drink the local stuff unless it's 95% alcohol in it. Um, and the food, burn it. You know, really make sure it's cooked. Like going to Mexico, Montezuma's revenge. Don't drink the local water. Don't don't eat the local food. Burn it, or you're going to get sick. And people go back from Mexico and they have diarrhea and they get food poisoning. Yes. Why do you think they have hot food down there? Those heights of hot spices do a lot of damage to bacteria. you know, I can't take the stuff. I don't eat Mexican food. It's too hot. I don't eat Indian food. It's too hot. Why is it's hot and everything else? It kills the bacteria in the food. It's like eating Korean food. Really? That thing. But, I don't think it's going to kill the malaria thing, but malaria has been around for since man settled down, I guess, and before that. So it adapts. It adapts pretty bad. So, well, it's going to get global warming, and soon it's going to come to the United States. It's kind of like why they want to watch who comes across the border. Um, why you have quarantines. Why you don't bring foods in. Why you don't do a lot of stuff. That's one of the things. And malaria is prevalent, and it's going to come break out here. And boy, when it breaks out, who's going to be infected? Usually small children. They're not so sprayable. Oh, I don't like this stuff. It stinks. That's right. It kills mosquitoes. Hmm. I don't know. It's a coming. Oh well. What can I do? Goodbye.